You're on.
I'm just going to wait for a whiteboard if that's okay.
Oh, they are? Okay, thank you so much. It's on its way, Mr. Andrew.
Oh, you right. Good.
How are you? I'm well.
It was your Anzac Day, right?
Yeah, it was very relaxing. My wife's away. So.
Which pub did you go
So
to?
you hit the pub, you had 2 up in all day long?
No. Sleep. Chilled out with my dog. Yes.
Mate, when you get a bit of peace and quiet, you take it.
Very important.
I said to my wife, I'm really missing my child. And then I called her this morning and he was weeding in the background. I said, in any way, shape, or form. We might go with that down there.
Interesting piece of art.
What did you do? My colour?
Not much. Bit of beach. Bit of hanging out.
Where was that? Where was that photo taken? Karabuddy?
No, King's Beach looking back towards Bribey.
Oh, that's delicious.
Yeah, this is down there on Street.
Oh,
Down, you know,
Andy Edwards. Nice.
There you go.
What is going on?
Mate,
Mate, where the fuck have you been?
Mate, just floating around. G'day, mate. I've met you before.
Yeah.
How are you?
Guys.
Nice to meet you, Jason.
Good to see you.
Michael, how you doing, mate?
how you going?
Good to see you.
Too.
How was the kiss like smell?
Mate, no, not even worse.
You're recording.
How many did you have this? 16, 16?
25?
25 scooters? Sounds about right.
25 glasses.
Can we see
Man, I was driving out from the coast yesterday. I drove through 3 RBTs, mate.
Saw your beautiful,
Where'd you
wedding
go?
photos.
I'm glad you like them, mate.
It's beautiful.
Are there pins there?
Where'd you go up the coast?
Down the coast, mate.
Oh, down the coast. There were a lot of cops. I was down there on the east
Mate, there were 3 RBTs coming out of
So you're across
Nowra.
Yeah.
One in Batemans, I think. White, everywhere.
I only had a few beers. So I had
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good. What about you?
No, I did my video on Monday night.
What'd you do?
Oh, well, it was supposed to be a quiet lunch with my cousin and her husband and some of his friends that just carried on, and I'm obviously too old for these shenanigans now.
Hey, there you go.
Was it big enough for you to say, I'm never drinking again?
Not quite, but
No.
borderline.
Not big enough.
It was just tired headache. It wasn't that, I pulled the pin before I got to that stage.
It's not big enough.
Bit old with me,
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Are we waiting on anyone?
I think there's a couple more.
Our team, but
Jeff messaged that he's not flying in from Para.
he's just there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in the computer.
He's in the computer.
It's
He's in there,
In the Matrix.
in the Matrix.
in there. Sent out the info.
Is Andrew Doyle in there somewhere as well?
Got a bigger head than that.
You seen it?
No, you can't see anyone on plus.
Oh, okay, because I'm just
Steve.
wondering.
Steve Moses. So he goes,
Where's yours?
One more coming down.
Just one
I
more.
didn't do this. Well, it's probably
Do you do the double bay options?
No,
Jones
Jones
just
Kennedy.
an hour to do.
He's in-house salesperson in there.
Right.
Doing forever and a day. What do you ask?
Oh, because I've listed a house with one of the double bay agents. One of my commercial clients.
Whereabouts?
Need to sell. It's only a little semi in Vaucluse.
I can do them. It's just-
It's booked in for their auction. I was just
Yeah,
wondering
and I think they do
whether
it
you do
as
my auctions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it in there.
Yeah, I've got a couple of on sites for them that they're all in-house. Yeah. And we don't stand on the toes of our own people, you know.
No,
One guy through and through, so but for the other independents we jump on their toes. You like that deal that I did this morning?
Yeah.
You want that deal?
Oh, yeah.
It's costing you 10 to deal.
Thanks, mate. You're picking up the difference.
Right.
You're picking up the difference. Is that what this is?
Smash them up now.
All right. Well, we might as well get started. There's a few online. Hi to everyone online. Sorry for the delay. Just waiting for a few more human bodies in the room, but I'm not going to introduce the man of the hour, but Jason Andrews
What you about to say?
conduct the session. The voice of property. Yes, that's right. Self-proclaimed.
A number of years ago, I did a rebrand of my business. We were Jason Andrews Auctioneers, and they said you can't do Jason Andrews Auctioneers because it doesn't quite go. It's JAA, and so it doesn't work, and everyone calls me Jason Andrews, and there's an S at the end of Auctioneers. So we went with Jason Andrews, the voice of property. So every time I walked into a room, John Farnham was playing, just for everyone who wanted to lay into me. So if you want to play the voice when you're around me, it's become my sort of go-to karaoke song. It's pretty good. It's either that or horses.
I was going to say, the only song better than the voice is Horses by Taylor Braith, mate.
The two national anthems of this country.
Sorry, just hang the link to the paragraphs.
Okay. Do we rip in, Mikey, or do we
Yeah,
wait
let's get
for
started.
one more
Yep. Can't punish those that are punctual for those that are not.
This is correct. Dates, Mikey.
So auction date,
Yep.
Sydney 31 May,
Mhm.
and Brisbane, for those playing online, is 1 June, so the following day.
Whiteout dates, advertising dates, auction dates. Dates that we're pushing towards and that we're really excited about. I think a really good opportunity for us to show and demonstrate our collective strength as a group. It's one of the things that I'm going on about in my new role is the collective strength of this group, getting together and making sure that we can sort of punish those who aren't a part of it. Don't you reckon, Mikey? I think that's probably the best way that I can articulate that message.
No vote will stick.
I wanted to concentrate today on not only advertising, but I also wanted to concentrate at a number of questions off the back of the last session that we did around why auction, and so versus how auction, which was one of the concentrations that we did last time. I wanted to concentrate a little bit on why auction. Now, for the 3 people or 4 people who are in the room, you probably need to push this agenda a little bit because I'm probably at your discretion as such to run this session, but I probably need you to push this into the right place of where you're at, objections that you're facing, all of these sorts of things, and the reason why these dates can't be bigger and better than we've ever seen before. And that's going to be our agenda. Okay, so why is it that we're doing it? How do we get out there? How do we sell them? I love the saying people don't buy what we sell, they buy what we believe. So we do this session to make sure that we have the belief structure in place, yeah? Let's talk about that. Why are we doing it? Why do we do auction? Let's fire away.
Competition.
Competition, okay? So Brian loves the competition creation stuff. Competition most certainly is one of them, right? Now, here's an objection off the back of competition. Sitting down with a vendor, yes, but you need to understand that we're higher end, and at the higher end there isn't as much competition. As a matter of fact, it's not uncommon on something like this for us to only have one buyer in a campaign. Now, if particularly those people in Queensland, that's not uncommon. And I'm sure that some of us have that type of stock as well. So where we don't have the competition, what's our combatants to that? What's our combatants to that?
I want to focus on a date. It brings the attention
Okay,
to the
so we'll get there to accountability, definitely. I don't disagree with that. But what happens when we have a vendor who says, you know what? I think this is the type of thing that we're going to have limited competition. What do we say?
Well, the process generates the competition. I mean, you can use the process to make it appear as if there is more competition than there actually is.
Yeah, not bad. What else? I still think we're only going to have 1 or 2 people at best. So in other words, another way that I can say this is, here's an old saying with inside the auction language. Looks like this. You ready? We need 2 people to make an auction work. Let's actually unpack that. Let's unpack that because I actually disagree with that. Actually disagree with that. Competition creation most definitely is one thing, and where we can create that competition, it's beautiful. But what happens when there is combatants to that argument and people say this isn't going to be the type of thing that gets huge competition? How can we reply to our vendor? Who's the ultimate competition of just one buyer on auction day?
The auctioneer.
The vendor. Well, no, you are correct. It's the auctioneer. It's the auctioneer as the vendor's representative. Now, I think I covered this in our last session. You need to remember that we don't announce properties on the market. Why don't we announce properties on the market?
We want people bidding at all stages.
Absolutely, we want people bidding at all stages. Now, if people announce the property on the market, essentially it's saying you're running first, the underbidder's running second, and when we run out of competition from second, we sell it to firsts. And remember I said to you last time, I don't believe that our highest bidder is in first, and I don't believe our underbidder is in second. I have the belief that the vendor is in first position, and in second position is our highest bidder. The vendor is always the highest bidder's competitor. So even when we only have one bid, looks like this. Opening bidder offer $1 million. Ooh, a little bit light on, sir. Can I see you start closer to 1.5 perhaps? I'll give you 1.4. Sure, you make me 1.4, but I'll come back against you with a vendor bid in the saleable zone at 1.65. What I've done is, without competition, I've essentially taken it exactly where it has to be. And so even with lack of competition, these things can work. Does that make sense to everyone? All right. So in the absence of competition, Mr. Vendor, you need to know we can still make this thing work, because the ultimate competitor in the market is you. You're the owner of the property. You hold the power of the pen at all stages. And until you decide to relinquish control, you're in first place. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Competition creation is absolutely outstanding, but we're going to come up against that at a listing presentation. So it's important for us to have that at our disposal. Very important for us to know those sorts of responses. Okay, so competition creation, definitely. We get that. Beautiful, perfect.
The reason I mentioned date is because even with one buyer, focus date of the auction, and as an agent, if you notice you're getting near the end of it, you know there is one buyer. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation with that one buyer. Not telling them they're one buyer, but telling them that there's been interest in it. May not make it to auction. Do you want to make an offer?
Okay, so let's talk about a date. Then let's talk about some new language that we're using, the reason why we do these types of programs that we're running at the moment. There's a date, and then there's an ultimate date. And the ultimate date for us as a group, with all of the people that we have at our disposal, the ultimate date for us as a group is us working together towards one occasion. Now, I saw some scary data with Jason Alford the other day. Jason Alford is here today. Jason Alford said to me that there are 25 million Australians, thereabouts. Over the last year, how many Australians came through our open for inspections? Or how many people have essentially we come into contact with as a group? Anyone want to take a guess? Do you know this number?
No, I don't.
5 million. Does that scare you? Big numbers, yeah? Now, there's a lot of looking at that as to say, well, how can we have that many people and still sort of miss out on a lot of things? But 5 million of 25 million. It's a scary stat, yeah? It's 20% of the Australian public we have come into contact with. 20%. Now, forcing people towards an ultimate date for a group this size allows us to pool our resources, and all of the people that we have come into contact with, we can work towards this date. When people miss out on one, they could go on another, and this type of language. So it's the accountability of the deadline that I feel works and creates the competition. I don't disagree, Tony. As a matter of fact, I emphatically agree. But I think when we're out there pitching these things, there's one thing to pitch a date, there's another thing to pitch the ultimate date. And if you want that data, talk to Jason Alford about that. What an incredible thing for you to sit down with and say, Mr. Vendor, this is where we stand as a group. These are the amount of people that we come into contact with. With us working collectively and pooling our strength, this is what we can do for you. Yeah. What else? I don't know why this is here. This is paper.
Tell me you might try and use it.
Yeah. Look at that idiot. What else? What else? Why auction? Competition creation, dates.
You remove the price.
Remove the price. Okay. What's important about removing the price?
Well, you can keep interest at all levels. You know, you're not going to sort of rule people in. I mean, you want people to have an understanding or a guide, but you're not going to sort of discount buyers and and stop that competition creation. Do you know what I mean?
So we get the lows, we get the highs.
Yes, they help push each other, and then you get your buyer inevitably at the end.
Perfect. Why else is no price important? And for me, there is one killer line here that is unbelievably important. Why is no price important?
Doesn't put a ceiling.
Doesn't put a ceiling on it. I actually think that there's a better way of saying it, but it's in that ballpark.
When you put a price on something, somebody's going to invariably say, okay, how much below that can I go?
Yeah, really good point. I had a conversation with my sister who was buying a property once, and she said to me, it's listed at X. How far below that should I negotiate? Right? How often do you reckon that happens? So negotiation traditionally with the price is down, there's no doubt. Whereas I believe in a trampoline method of marketing, which is essentially bouncing upwards. Right? That's important. But I have a big belief in a line around no price, and that is that emotion does not have a price. Emotion doesn't have a price. Now, the ultimate emotion within inside your line of work is what? The ultimate emotion at play with inside your line of work. There are a few of them. Mikey, what do you reckon? Greed. Greed is one. What's the other?
Fear of loss.
Fear of loss is a really good one. We'll use that as an acronym of FOL. What else?
Profit.
It's actually, see, everyone goes, listen, our people in commercial, they make decisions that are just commercial decisions. They make it based on dollars and cents. And I get that. But what happens when we throw ego in play? Because ego is a massive driver in this space. One of the best auctions I've ever called was an Italian guy in that corner, a Greek guy in that corner, and it was a measuring contest. It was, I'm better than you, and I've got a bigger wallet than you. I'm going to show everyone. That was the thing that kicked into place, because emotion doesn't have a price. And so we can sit there and we can say we're not going to cap it, all these sorts of things. Emotion doesn't have a price. Here's the trinity of real estate, I believe. We need emotional buyers, and I've just spoken about what emotion means with inside your space. We need an emotional environment, and then when we drop this one into place, which is a fear of loss, that is the trinity to receive great prices with inside our industry. That's how you achieve the market's best price. You get an emotional buyer, put them in an emotional environment, and add a fear of loss. Coming back to the date thing, that plays with inside fear of loss. First call, second, third and final time, that's adding to the fear of loss. Okay, it's all of those things that create the best prices. Now, are we articulating this message when we're sitting down? Are we saying we're working towards an ultimate date? Are we saying we come into contact with 20% of the Australian public? Are we saying the trinity of real estate is this? These are messages that need to find their way out there that I believe that none of your competitors are using. They just sit down and say, listen, I think we should auction this thing. Well, give me the reasons why. People don't buy what you sell, they buy what you believe. Yeah? What else have we got?
There's one more thing on the back.
Or in this space? Page 3?
Not in that space.
Okay.
But quite often in commercial, you may only have one really good buyer. The problem, if you go to them and say, look, this property, blah, 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 they can't ask about it. Right? They never really come to the decision. And in the end, you, as a salesman, you keep hitting them, and then they think, okay, this guy's desperate. I'll go low on the offer, blah, 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 blah. But if you have a date, it focuses their attention. So if they really do want to buy it, it calls their bluff.
Couldn't agree more. It's what I call PA. You might notice that I love acronyms, by the way. Right? When you work with me, you just need to become really, really good at acronyms. PA. Anyone want to take a guess what that stands for? Or we've just spoken about one, which is accountability, but it keeps our protagonists accountable. Now, there are 3 protagonists within inside our industry. Who are they? Just spoken about one, being the buyer.
Agent, vendor, buyer.
Spot on. Buyer, seller, agent. 3 protagonists to keep accountable. Right? When there is a date, funnily enough, the reason why I love the date, it keeps us accountable. You just said that the buyers can't fart us around. Well, with all due offence, I choose my language very carefully there, with all due offence, keeps us accountable too. Yeah? We don't want to stand up in front of 100 people going, oh, shit, I've got no one. Yeah? It keeps our sellers accountable. I'm telling you, 48 hours out from an auction, they're having a different conversation than what they are if it's private treaty. If it's private treaty, they're not talking about revising their expectations. If it's an auction, they're talking to themselves 48 hours out. You know, they might not be talking to themselves. They might be talking to a few others around. Could be talking to themselves. Depends who they are. But they're saying, well, you know, based on the reports that I've received, this is probably where I have to be. And then even more importantly, from a buyer's perspective, it encourages them to act. It's that fear of loss thing once again. You don't act by here, it may not be here tomorrow. Right? Keeps our protagonists accountable. Does anyone know? I love to talk in analogies. Does anyone know when the best sign-up month is for gyms, for gym memberships?
January.
What do you reckon that is?
New Year's resolution.
New Year's resolution, right? So everyone has these awesome ideas that they're going to be fit and healthy, put on the boys' size 14 shirt, pop the chest out, we're good to go. Yeah, I did 1,000 push-ups this morning, nobody did.
No, size 14.
Yeah, it is. So we all get these beautiful ideas come January, but with no accountability, guess what starts to happen? By Easter, everyone's, no, see you later, gym memberships are on the decline, and off we go. Now, why is that? No accountability, all good intentions start to slip away. Accountability is the reason why this process works. You'd have the personal trainer to come along and drag you out of bed sometimes. You'd have the friend to go for a run with. That's what this stuff is all about. It keeps the protagonists accountable. Now, if you need me to explain what a protagonist is afterwards, I'm more than happy to do that, Mikey. I know you're from Brisbane, so I might need to get that across to you. So that's okay. We can get it out to you later on. Fine using word with beyond 3 syllables.
Makes you sound far more intelligent than we know you
far
are.
more intelligent than what people think you are. All right. So that's a big part of this process. Yeah. What else? How else are we pitching auctions? How else are we pitching these dates towards the end of May and the beginning of June? Can they type a question in on that end?
Yeah, they can. And if you don't know how to do that, just text me.
I'm waiting for your phone to light up, Mikey.
Yeah.
It gives the property the best chance at selling unconditionally by a certain date.
Unconditionally?
Especially in the current market where, you know, a lot of buyers have an opinion on the market and will obviously, you know, try and get best terms and conditions possible.
Okay. So instead of saying unconditional or the best terms, I'm a big believer in language, yeah? Language changes our business. We're sitting down and we're talking to a seller. What should we be saying to them? Not unconditional. We shouldn't be saying the best terms. What should we be saying?
Optimum conditions.
Yeah, but again, a lot of this stuff doesn't mean a heck of a lot to them. What can we say? just keep it simplistic. Sounds like this. We can get it on your terms. We get it on your terms. Now, we talk unconditional, and unfortunately for a lot of people, that misses the mark. We can talk optimum commitment, we can do all that type of stuff, but when we break it down, I just need you to know that we get people on your terms. This is a contract that clearly favours you. Can you hear how when you're sitting in a presentation, how that gives you absolute cut through?
It depends on who you're sitting with as well, though. I mean, there are plenty of clients and vendors that, will have had 10, 15 offers thrown at them for their building over the last 6 months. They have also, options, conditions, late settlements, all sorts of things. And all they want to hear is, yes, we'll get you an unconditional sale.
Yep.
Because we're sick of stuffing around with, there's off-market offers. We're sick of stuffing around with people who are not serious. I just want an unconditional deal by a certain date.
Do you know, so in my past job, I used to call the vendors in the lead up to the auction. I didn't call all of them, I called some of them where the agent asked. I called them. And a lot of the phone calls went like this. They'd say, so when a buyer buys at auction, what are the finance terms? Like, how long do they need? And I'd say it's unconditional. Okay.
They're asking me 3 days.
So with a building and pest inspection, like that's no. Do you not understand? Clearly they don't understand, because we sit there and we use a word that is used in our industry, and I don't disagree with you, because there are people who are in our industry.
And especially commercial as well.
I couldn't agree more, but every now and again it's just worthwhile understanding that, hey, that stuff means nothing to me.
Yeah.
Just give it to me. It's on your terms, on terms that favour you.
I think it's not one or the other, it's both. Sometimes you need to have the same way of saying the same thing 3 different ways for it to get through. So you can use the word unconditional and say it's on your terms and that you're in control. It's 3 different ways of saying the same thing.
I sit down with my accountant.
Your terms is great to someone who's had all those. People offer them stuff that's like, well, I don't want 1% deposit and 12 months to settle.
Yeah.
I want this. If I'm going to sell this, it'll be on my terms.
Yeah.
I sit down with an accountant, or with my accountant, and I go, just speak to me. Don't speak to me in accountant language. Speak to me like I'm a person. Speak to me like a person. Break it down for me, brother. You could deal in this every single day. I don't deal in this every single day. So you can use your language, but I think we forget every now and again that it is an industry term. It's not necessarily something that they use all the time. I get that there are players out there who do know, but I think in a lot of circumstances, it's just far better just to say, listen, you sell on auction day. The beautiful thing is that it's on your terms. It's not terms that favour buyers. It's on terms that well and truly favour you. Now you're speaking my language. Now you're sounding like you understand what it is that I'm chasing. Instead of the guy from CBRE who sits down and says, listen, it's going to be an unconditional cash contract. Also, people need an armour guard van. You know what I mean? No, that's what I think. So they front with the folding. Okay, that's good. I like this auction stuff. Actually, maybe we should do it that way. How many people have the folding though? Can you see how that sort of starts to have a lot of negativity around this?
You want to put it out of the couch.
So I've trained a lot of auctioneers before. I've trained a lot of auctioneers before. One of them is Mikey. He's kind of the class of 2000 that I've done. He's probably right towards the bottom. But one of the things that I use one of those things that I talk about around auctions is when we talk unconditional, we usually say, okay, there's no finance, no cooling off, which is fine here, but there's also with inside Queensland, there's no building and pest inspection. Okay? Listen to the negative language that we use all the time when we're dealing with buyers. Oh, you can get a building and pest inspection. What do you think the second that you hear pest? What do you think? They're everywhere. I hear termites. The second I hear pest, I hear termites. What do you think when you hear no finance? It's unconditional. It's cash. I hear that I have to front with the folding. So instead of using the wrong language, start to use some language that people actually just understand. Break it down for them. This is on your terms. You need to understand that. When we're dealing with a buyer, you need to say, when you come along on auction day, you're dealing on seller's terms. So subsequently, their pricing will be in line with auction day because it's on a contract that favours them. So if you can get yourself in a position to be able to bid and buy on auction day, I think that you're going to do very, very well. Can you hear how that language works with the reciprocity on the other side? Yeah. What else?
I think, like you touched on earlier as well, it's the best method to get your vendor in a position to sell by a certain date. You know, if you run an EOI, you know, or it's an off-market EOI, whatever it might be, you know, your vendor will sit there and go, okay, we'll wait for the offers, see how we go, you know, see what comes in, and then that thought process starts. Okay, well, this is where the offers are at. Maybe we should readjust our expectations, and then you go through a 2-week negotiation with them to, you know, oh, well, you need to lower your price. These are the terms, and then you haggle, and then all, you know, a month's passed, and then, you know, it should have been sold a month prior. Whereas at auction, they have to make a decision to set a reserve by that day.
Yep. I went into an office the other day. They had a property that was priced at $1,750,000. I said, mate, you're looking really happy. He goes, yep, I am. Very much so. So what's going on? He said, oh, it's a listing that I've got. I said, auction or private treaty? Oh, just private treaty. So what are you happy about? He said, I've just got a price reduction. I said, cool. Where'd you get it from? He goes, 1750, got it to 1.7. I said, mate, well done. What's it worth? He said, oh, about 1.5, you know. So there's some problems here. We got some problems here. We still got a price at 1.7 when it's worth 1.5. So I couldn't agree with you more. Funnily enough, inside private treaty, we sort of stepped down the ladder a bit because there's a price on it, and if we go in and we just chip away, it's far better than going 175. I've got to drop you down by 250. It's far, you know what I mean? Whereas with auction, it's like that number was never there because we take it away anyway. Right? It was there in the vendor's mind, but because we've taken it out of the marketing and all of these sorts of things, it's not constantly in their presence. And so we can just work on their expectations in a far more expedited fashion than this method here. This method here is dropping down the ladder. Auctions, I believe, you know, particularly in Queensland where the market might not necessarily be as buoyant, Mikey, but I have a saying that auctions are the bungee jump instead of the parachute. Auctions are the bungee jump of price reductions instead of the parachute. Parachute, when you pull the parachute, it's a nice, easy, slow, flat landing. Bungee jump, though, is push hard to get the expectations right. Funnily enough, at the end of the cord, what happens? It goes back up. It's amazing what happens when we get our vendors into the right spot and when it happens quickly. Energetically, we go, oh my goodness, I can sell this thing, and it just spits back to the other side. That's why the bungee jump actually works. Yeah. How are we going, Mikey? Any text there, or do you want to make up a text? So it looks like this is an incredibly popular.
Yeah, good. They did ask, did you really do 1,000 push-ups this morning?
No.
Is that a size 14 boy shirt?
I did 990.
I guess delving into that, yeah, because I'm very conscious, you know, I've got quite a number of people who are streaming in who weren't here for the last shooting with the guys in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So about that conversation about, you know, the bungee and coming off the bottom and setting those expectations on the seller side. I think a number of people are probably about to, you know, start their campaigns, and it's probably an area we haven't touched on.
All right, let's get positive. All right, it's a big plus sign. It's actually not. This is what we know is the expectation quadrant. Who went away for Easter or for Anzac Day? Where'd you go?
Down the coast.
Down the coast?
Yep.
Did you stay at a hotel?
No.
Okay, just pretend you stayed at anyone stayed at a hotel?
Yes, I did.
Now, when you're looking at a hotel, these days, what's the first thing that you do? Particularly if you don't know the area, what's the first thing that you do?
Google it.
You Google it, right? And you find what? TripAdvisor, you get reviews. Yeah. Now it's very important with reviews, and we all understand this. If it's got 5 stars, what do? We talk bullshit. Yeah.
Well, you read them all.
Yeah. Well, you read the one. You read the one that they have. Yeah, oh, that's great from the owner's son who wrote that review. That's excellent. Okay, so we end up going with a place for 4.6. Why? Because it's got a larger sample size. That's a different story for a different time. Actually, probably good from a vendor education perspective that we understand that limited feedback means that they're not going to accept it, whereas with greater feedback, they accept, even if it's lesser. And the 4.6 star is something that proves us right there. I want you to pretend that you're going away and staying at a hotel and you're really looking forward to it. And you end up going away and the place that you stay at is really good. How do you feel? Good. Good. Now, did you hear that? They're good. Because what he was saying was, I'm looking forward to it and it ended up matching my expectations. So therefore, actually feels neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had an offer before in front of an owner that they should be naming their firstborn child after you, but they go,
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, we had the New South Wales government one the other day that I don't know if you guys saw, but it just jettisoned beyond reserve. And of course, being government, they were just like, yeah, thanks. The problem is when we pitch our services, we say that we're great. And because we say we're great and when we match our expectations, funnily enough, people feel neutral. Now, if you were really looking forward to the hotel and it ended up being crap, how do you feel? Negative. Ripped off.
Yeah.
So it's negative. Now, if you're not looking forward to it, you went, oh, book last minute, it's going to be crap anyway, and it ends up being crap, how do you feel? That's what I was expecting. Neutral. If you're not looking forward to something and it ends up exceeding your expectations, how do you feel?
Great, unbelievable.
That was a good day. That was a good day. Funnily enough, the only corner of the quadrant where people get excited from an expectation management perspective is right down here. I want you to think about the time that you went to the dentist and you were dreading it, going, oh my God, this is going to hurt. You walk out and went, oh, seriously, I must have a high pain threshold, or it wasn't that bad. And most likely it wasn't that bad, and it's exceeded your expectations. Does that make sense? The only corner of this quadrant where people are happy is where they were bracing for the worst and they got the best. It's unbelievably important when it comes to pricing, particularly with an auction and getting to the bungee jump stuff. If we've got a vendor who wants 1.7 and if the joint's worth 1.5, if you're telling them it's worth 1.5 and that's where they need to be, they're most likely going to meet you where? 1.6, as sure as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So therefore, to get them to 1.5, what must we be saying? I've got a hell of a lot of people who are saying it needs to be 1.4 before they even engage. I need you to know that even at 1.4, people aren't prepared to put pen to paper. I'm getting a little bit worried about this type of stuff, or even below. Right? So it's an expectation management, readying them for 1.4, and then when we get the 1.5, it's 100 grand better than the feedback that we've received, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Mr. Vendor, Mrs. Vendor, whatever you say, commercial, whatever's right. Does that make sense to everyone? Right? So from an expectation management perspective, that's a big, big part of this. So the bungee jump thing is, second that you list the thing up, you turn around and you say, 1.4. This is where we stand. Hang on, but you just said that if it was out there, then we were going to get it. Right? You just said that if 1.7 was out there, we were going to get it. I did, but the problem is that I'm actually not the buyer for the property. Now that we've got buyers coming in, this is where they stand.
And neither are you, Mr. Vendor.
And you know what? I would love more than anything to say that your 1.7 is out there, but finding someone who agrees with us is the story. I would love to say that your 1.7 is out there, but finding someone who agrees with us is the challenge. Listen to that language. Okay. Unfortunately, all the feedback's coming in at 1.4. If you're at 1.7, it's looking like you're going to be the buyer for the property. And we begin every single one of our campaigns with the knowledge that we already have a buyer, and at your number, it is actually you. But if you can give me something close to 1.4, I think we can create a lot of competition.
This is what the red.
I just wanted to let that marinate.
Yeah, I jumped into the empty space.
Cool.
So the weekly reporting and weekly meetings and having this discussion constantly, not leaving it until the last week, which I know so many of our guys tend to do, is giving that feedback, written reports, and having the evidence to support that low point of the bungee.
It almost seems like yesterday that it was Christmas, and it almost seemed like the other day that it was this. And, you know, like when we set an auction, it's a month or 3 weeks in advance. It's amazing how we go, that thing's miles away. We've got plenty of time. But it rolls around, and I speak for a living, so I say this deliberately, but it rolls around real quick. Yeah, it rolls around real quick. It's out there in the distance, and all of a sudden it's here. We think we've got time to burn, but we haven't got a second to spare. Right? In this one here, we got $200,000 worth of work to do. And funnily enough, we pull buyers in and drop them in everywhere trying to solve this problem. The buyers aren't the problem here, because if they give us market value, it's not going to solve the problem. The buyers aren't the issue here. It's the seller that's the issue. It's the seller that's the issue. I can give you all of the buyers in the world. It's not going to solve any of your problems. It's the fact that our owners want too much. Right? If they didn't want too much, here's the kicker. If they didn't want too much, we would be out of a job. The reason why we are employed is because owners can't look themselves in the mirror and say, you want too much, you bad boy. That's why they employ us. It's honestly why they employ us. And if there's more out there, then great. But that's one of the key reasons. They can't have those hard conversations with themselves. Agree with that, disagree with that. Is there anything further as we push towards a date that I'm really excited about? Should have my big words ready and digest my thesaurus for breakfast. Thesaurus.
Yeah, we are. The end of that is the auctions. We're also looking at the whiteout and competition creation. So some thoughts around the importance of that part of the program. Volume of bidders, attracting interest in property.
I think if we look at it,
turning buyers into bidders.
Yeah, well, let's look at this. All right, 1,000 officers. I know that's not inside your space, but let's say 1,000 officers. When we flex our collective strength, there is no one that comes close to us. Fortunately, we sort of operate a lot in isolation, don't we, Michael?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that together we are better. And so these whiteouts are important because no one else can do what we can do. No one else has the strength that we have. We just need to show it. Okay? There is a difference though. I mean, maybe you can talk to your point because I'm going to take it down a different path.
Go for it.
Right? There is a difference though between finding a buyer and gathering bidders. Who knows the difference between the two? There is a difference between finding a buyer and gathering bidders. I'm going to say that bidders bid and buyers buy. Throughout our auctions, our job is not to try and find buyers. Using the numbers that we had before, owner wants 1.7, it's worth 1.5. You try and find the buyer for this joint, where are you going to find them? At 1.5. So the job here is not to try and find buyers. The job is to try and gather bidders. Bidders exist, at competitive levels. Where is the competition on this thing?
1.5 and below.
Where are the bidders? The bidders are down here. Okay? Bidders bid and buyers buy. A buyer will come along on this thing and say, will you give me 1.5? And let me show you how real estate usually works. This is in commercial, this is everywhere. Watch this, right? Owner wants 1.7. We go, how much will you pay? Listen to that question. How much will you pay? In other words, give me your highest and best. That's what the context is. How much will you pay? Great. Let's have the auction before the auction even begins. Let's maximize a buyer right now. I'll pay 1.5. Dad, would you put that in writing? Yeah, I would. Great. We take 1.5 to the owner. What do they say?
No.
No. You said there could be only one person. You got this one person? Great news. I'm at 1.7, mate. You got me 1.5? No go. bound back to the buyer and we say, we need to work a little bit harder. Can you come to 1.7? Try and have the option without the auction. They say, you can stick it. I'm out. Right? This person goes. You say to the owner, they've gone, and they go, okay, well, listen, maybe we maybe entertain 165 over, that's it. Right? Week 2 comes along, we ask the same question. What will you pay? What do they say? 1.5. Owner says what? Do you not have ears? Last week I just rejected the same offer. I'm not going to accept it. I told you last week that I'd accept 1.6 and no less. Did you not hear me? You see what they did there? Okay. Go back to this person, they go. Week 3, same thing happens, 1.5. What does the owner say? So I'm sick of this. I employed you because I like you. These buyers are annoying me. I'll come down to 155. This buyer bails. Now it's auction day, and what have we burned?
Your buyers.
We burned all of our buyers. Now here's the stupid thing. We have no buyers, and now we've got what? We've got a decent owner. So we're burning our buyers through negotiation. Here's the even more stupid thing, and this should send chills down your spine. We've gotten all of this vendor paid advertising for the whiteout date that we've been pushing. So we've burnt 15 to 20 grand on what? We've burnt 15 to 20 grand on what? Education. Hang on, we're the group that stands for competition creation. And we've spent 15 or 20 grand on a vendor who's miles over applying a process that is absolutely archaic. All of these buyers bail, go out, buy something else. All of a sudden, in waltzes Stephen Bradbury. He offers 1.5. The owner says, I'm not going to miss it this time. Jumps on top of it, and we go, oh, man, I'm so good at this real estate caper. So good. Here's the stupid thing, right? These people offered market value, yet the vendor wasn't ready to hear it. And so the old saying in our game is we continue to take buyers who are ready to buy and sell who isn't ready to sell. So we need to flip it over or invert it. Instead of saying, what will you pay? Ask better questions. What would be a figure where this becomes number 1 on your shopping list? Where would this stand out ahead of all else that you're looking at? Those sorts of questions do what is known as leaving money in their pockets. If I'm to find a buyer, I practice this process. If I'm to try and find a bidder, I ask better versions of the question. And so I say, what would be a figure you'd love to own it at, or where would this be number 1 on your shopping list? Oh, listen, 1.4 would be pretty good buying. Fantastic, let me take that to our owners. Come back to them, listen, at 1.4, I'm not saying you're out of the race, but our owner has said that it needs to go to auction. So get yourself into a position. Now we've left 100 grand in their pocket. This person is going to come along and bid because they got money to burn. Now, what's better, having no one at what the owner wants, or having 5 or 6 people at their numbers? Well, having 5 or 6 people at their numbers makes my vendor's number a possibility. But having no one at the owner's price, we all know what happens there. You ever heard it articulated that way? Absolutely. Bless you. Right. So, you know, that's what an auction is fundamentally, particularly in Queensland. You know, down here it's a little bit different, but I will say to you loud and clear that that's a process that we've got to get very good at. It's about finding buyers at their numbers, not chasing what I call the Yeti, which is a number that may or may not exist. Right, that's the vendor's expectations. That's a great Yeti. It's not my job to know that it exists. It's just the job to throw the buyers and get them to spit out their number. Yeah. Right. Cool. Any other questions, or are we sort of fed up with me?
No, we're getting close to that time, so
It's good.
always fed up with you.
It's good to be on it.
Thanks, mate.
Different side us the normal ones that I'm usually on. So I'm glad
Yeah, different sort of live stream. No, that's it. So I'm conscious of getting people out on time, and thank you, Jason, for your time. It's really well appreciated. So
does anyone want to keep these for your file?
So now
I might take them back to my desk.
And make that part of your listing presentation.
Whiteout does start next week, so Friday this week is actually the booking deadline to get things through to brand territory for the full campaign on that. So, as you said before, that you feel like you've got all this time, feel like we've been building towards this, but then all of a sudden it's here, and now's the time. But it's not too late. Like, it's always the opportunity to upsize ads, upsize campaigns. Ask the question, go back to the person who said no, and ask again. In a different way. So, anyway, thank you, Jason. Appreciate your time. Thank you for those playing online. And Friday's the deadline for next week's May Whiteout.
Thank you.